strong mentality isn't something you're born with, it's something you build. It's forged in the silence when no one is watching, in the discipline when no one is cheering, and in the pain that most people run from. You don't need motivation. You need a mission. And the strength to finish it, no matter what. Introduction. Hi, this is Dr. Julian Vance. This book is not about hype. It's about building something real inside you. A strong mentality isn't about being loud, fearless, or perfect. It's about showing up when you don't feel like it. It's about staying focused when the world tries to distract you. It's about choosing discipline over comfort, and growth over excuses. You won't find shortcuts here, only truths. Truths that cut deep and force you to rise. In these pages, you'll get practical tips, raw advice, and a mindset that helps you push through pain, pressure, and failure. This is for the ones who are tired of feeling weak inside. This is for the ones ready to fight the war within. This is how you build a strong mentality. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The War Inside. Introduction. The battlefield of the mind. Every morning, you wake up to a war. Not the kind fought with weapons or armies, but the most brutal conflict you'll ever face, the war inside your own mind. This battlefield determines whether you rise or fall, whether you push forward or surrender, whether you become the person you're meant to be or remain trapped in mediocrity. Your thoughts are not neutral observers. They are either your greatest allies or your most dangerous enemies. Most people lose this war before they even realize it's being fought. They surrender to the voices of doubt, fear, and limitation that echo in their heads, accepting defeat as inevitable. But you're different. You're here because you understand that mental strength isn't a gift you're born with, it's a weapon you forge through discipline, pain, and relentless practice. Every champion, every leader, every person who has achieved something extraordinary has learned to win this internal war first. The enemy within, understanding your mental opponents. The voice of doubt. The first enemy you'll encounter is doubt. It whispers seductively in your ear, painting vivid pictures of failure and humiliation. It tells you that you're not smart enough, strong enough, or talented enough. It reminds you of every past failure, every moment of weakness, every time you fell short. Doubt is cunning because it masquerades as wisdom. It presents itself as rational thinking, as being realistic about your limitations. But doubt is not your protector, it's your prison warden, keeping you locked away from your potential. The voice of doubt grows stronger when you're alone, when the world is quiet, when there's no external validation to drown it out. This is when you must be strongest, when your mental discipline must shine brightest. The Fear Factory. Fear is doubt's aggressive cousin. Where doubt whispers, fear screams. It floods your system with worst-case scenarios, creating elaborate movies in your mind where everything goes wrong. Fear doesn't just question your abilities, it paralyzes them. Fear of failure, fear of success, fear of judgment, fear of being exposed as a fraud. Your mind becomes a factory producing these fears at an industrial rate, each one more vivid and terrifying than the last. But here's the truth that separates warriors from victims. Fear is not a signal to stop, it's a signal that you're heading in the right direction. Every great achievement lies on the other side of fear. The goal isn't to eliminate fear but to move forward in spite of it. The comfort zone custodian. Perhaps the most dangerous enemy is the voice that argues for comfort, for taking the easy path, for staying where things are safe and predictable. This voice has 1,000 justifications for why you should wait, why you should settle, why you should lower your standards. It tells you that average is acceptable, that comfort is more valuable than growth, that the pain of change isn't worth the potential reward. This voice has killed more dreams than failure ever could. The architecture of mental strength. Foundation, self-awareness. Mental strength begins with brutal self-awareness. You must become the observer of your own thoughts, learning to distinguish between the voice of your highest self and the chatter of your fears and limitations. Start by catching yourself in the act of negative self-talk. Notice when you're rehearsing failure, when you're undermining your own confidence, when you're accepting defeat before the battle has even begun. This awareness is the first step toward control. Keep a mental inventory throughout the day. What thoughts are serving you? Which ones are sabotaging you? You cannot change what you cannot see, and most people are blind to the toxic patterns running through their minds. Pillar 1. The discipline of repetition. Your mind is like a garden, whatever you water grows. If you consistently water thoughts of doubt, fear, and limitation, those will flourish. If you consistently water thoughts of strength, capability, and possibility, those will dominate your mental landscape. This is where the discipline of repetition becomes crucial. You must actively choose to repeat empowering thoughts, even when, especially when, you don't believe them yet. Your subconscious mind doesn't distinguish between what's real and what's repeatedly imagined. It accepts whatever you consistently feed it as truth. Create powerful affirmations that speak to your specific challenges and goals. But don't just recite them mindlessly, feel them, visualize them, embody them. Make them as real in your mind as your current circumstances are in your body. I am capable of extraordinary things. I grow stronger through every challenge. My mind is my greatest weapon, and I control it completely. I succeed because I refuse to quit. Repeat these truths until they become the default programming of your mind. This isn't positive thinking, this is mental conditioning for peak performance. Pillar 2, Emotional Regulation in Solitude. The true test of your mental strength doesn't come when others are watching and cheering you on. It comes in the quiet moments when you're alone with your thoughts, when there's no external motivation, when the only voice you hear is your own. Learn to become comfortable with solitude. In these moments, practice observing your emotions without being controlled by them. Emotions are information, not instructions. They tell you something about your internal state, but they don't get to dictate your actions. When anger rises, acknowledge it without acting on it impulsively. When sadness threatens to overwhelm you, feel it without drowning in it. When fear tries to paralyze you, recognize it as excitement in disguise, your body's way of preparing for something important. Develop rituals for these quiet moments. Deep breathing exercises, meditation, journaling, or simply sitting in silence while consciously directing your thoughts toward your goals and values. These practices build your emotional resilience like weights build your physical strength. Pillar 3, the mission mindset. Every person who has developed unshakable mental strength has learned to connect their daily struggles to a larger mission. When you have a mission that transcends your immediate comfort, you develop the ability to endure temporary pain for permanent gain. Your mission doesn't have to save the world, it just has to matter deeply to you. It might be providing for your family, building something meaningful, becoming the best version of yourself, or proving that your dreams are more powerful than your circumstances. When doubt attacks, remind yourself of your mission. When fear tries to stop you, remember what you're fighting for. When comfort calls you to settle, think about the person you're becoming through this struggle. Rewiring your mental operating system. The power of mental rehearsal. Your mind cannot distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. This gives you an incredible tool for building mental strength, the ability to practice success in your mind before it happens in reality. Spend time each day mentally rehearsing scenarios where you demonstrate strength, resilience, and capability. See yourself handling challenges with grace, pushing through when others would quit, maintaining your composure under pressure. But don't just rehearse the victories, rehearse the struggles too. Mentally practice how you'll respond when things go wrong, when you face unexpected obstacles, when you're tested beyond what seems reasonable. This mental rehearsal builds confidence and prepares you for real-world challenges. Reframing, the art of mental alchemy. One of the most powerful skills you can develop is the ability to reframe any situation in a way that serves your growth and strength. This isn't about denying reality or pretending everything is perfect, it's about finding the empowering perspective in every circumstance. Failed at something? Reframe it as valuable feedback and experience. Facing a difficult challenge? Reframe it as an opportunity to prove your strength and develop new capabilities. Criticized by others? Reframe it as confirmation that you're doing something significant enough to provoke a reaction. This skill requires constant practice. Your default mental programming will try to interpret events in ways that confirm your limitations and fears. You must consciously choose to find the empowering angle, the growth opportunity, the hidden advantage in every situation. The compound effect of small wins. Mental strength isn't built through grand gestures, it's built through countless small victories that compound over time. Every time you choose the empowering thought over the limiting one, Every time you act despite fear, every time you get back up after being knocked down, you're making a deposit in your mental strength account. These deposits might seem insignificant in the moment, but they accumulate with devastating effectiveness. Each small victory makes the next one more likely. Each moment of strength builds the neural pathways that make future strength more automatic. Celebrate these small wins. Acknowledge when you catch yourself in negative thinking and consciously redirect it. Recognize when you choose discipline over comfort, courage over fear, growth over safety. These moments are building the unshakable mental fortress that will serve you for life. Practical strategies for daily mental training. Morning mental armor. Start each day by putting on your mental armor. Before you check your phone, before you face the world's demands, spend time consciously programming your mind for strength and success. Review your goals and remind yourself why they matter. Visualize yourself moving through the day with confidence and capability. Identify potential challenges you might face and mentally rehearse how you'll handle them with strength and grace. This morning ritual isn't just preparation, it's declaration. You're declaring that you refuse to let random thoughts and external circumstances control your mental state. You're taking ownership of your inner world before engaging with the outer world. The thought substitution technique. Throughout the day, practice the immediate substitution of limiting thoughts with empowering ones. Don't try to fight negative thoughts, replace them instantly with more powerful alternatives. I can't do this becomes I'm learning how to do this. This is too hard becomes this is making me stronger. I'm not good enough becomes I'm becoming better every day. I might fail becomes I will learn and improve regardless of the outcome. Make this substitution so automatic that limiting thoughts can't take root in your mind. They become temporary visitors rather than permanent residents. Evening reflection and reinforcement. End each day by reviewing your mental performance. Where did you demonstrate strength? Where did you choose empowering thoughts over limiting ones? Where did you act despite fear or doubt? Also honestly assess where you fell short. Where did you let negative thinking dominate? Where did you choose comfort over growth? This isn't about self-judgment, it's about self-awareness and improvement. Set specific intentions for tomorrow's mental performance. Choose one area where you want to be stronger, one pattern you want to change, one habit you want to develop. Mental strength is built through conscious, deliberate practice. Fighting when nobody believes. The loneliness of leadership. One of the greatest tests of your mental strength will come when you're pursuing something meaningful and nobody around you believes it's possible. This is the loneliness of leadership, the space between where you are and where you're going, when your vision is clear but invisible to others. In these moments, the voices of doubt multiply. Not only do you have to battle your own internal skeptic, but you're surrounded by well-meaning people who think you're being unrealistic, impractical, or naive. Their disbelief can echo in your mind, making your own voice of confidence seem small and foolish. This is when your mental strength must be absolute. You must become comfortable being misunderstood, comfortable being seen as the one who's reaching too high, comfortable standing alone in your belief when everyone else has given up. Converting isolation into fuel. Learn to convert the isolation of your journey into fuel for your determination. Every person who doubts you is giving you energy to prove them wrong. Every voice that says impossible is a challenge to demonstrate otherwise. Every moment of loneliness is an opportunity to strengthen your relationship with your own capability. This doesn't mean becoming bitter or resentful toward others. Most people doubt big dreams because they've given up on their own. Their skepticism is a reflection of their own limitations, not yours. Use their doubt as confirmation that you're playing at a level most people can't even imagine. Building your inner council. Since external validation may be scarce, you must build a strong inner council of empowering voices. These might be mentors you've never met but whose words inspire you, historical figures who overcame impossible odds, or simply the voice of your future self who has already achieved what you're working toward. When everyone around you says it can't be done, consult your inner council. What would they say? How would they respond to this challenge? What strength would they draw upon in this moment? This inner counsel becomes your refuge and your resource when the external world offers nothing but doubt and discouragement. The daily reps of mental muscle building. Micro-challenges in mental weights. Just as physical muscles grow through progressive resistance, mental muscles grow through progressively challenging your comfort zone in small, manageable ways. These are your daily mental reps. Choose small actions that require you to overcome fear, doubt, or comfort. Make that phone call you've been avoiding. Have that difficult conversation. Take that calculated risk. Speak up in that meeting. Each time you act despite internal resistance, you're doing mental repetitions. Start small and build gradually. The goal isn't to overwhelm yourself, but to consistently prove to your subconscious mind that you're capable of more than it thinks. Each successful rep builds confidence for bigger challenges. The resistance training of discipline. Discipline is the weight training of mental strength. Every time you do what you know you should do, especially when you don't feel like it, you're building mental muscle. This might mean getting up when the alarm goes off, eating the healthy meal instead of the convenient one, working on your goals when you'd rather watch TV, or maintaining your standards when it would be easier to compromise. These moments of discipline might seem small, but they're building the mental infrastructure that will support you when the stakes are highest. Each discipline choice is a vote of confidence in your own capability and character. Emotional push UPS. Practice controlling your emotional responses in low-stakes situations so you're prepared for high-stakes moments. This is like doing push-ups so you'll be strong when you need to lift something heavy. When someone cuts you off in traffic, practice choosing calm over anger. When you receive criticism, practice choosing growth over defensiveness. When things don't go according to plan, practice choosing adaptation over frustration. These emotional push-ups build your capacity to maintain mental strength when everything around you is chaos. The science of mental resilience. Neuroplasticity, your brain's incredible adaptability. Modern neuroscience has confirmed what champions have always known: your brain is incredibly adaptable. The neural pathways that currently dominate your thinking, whether they serve you or limit you, were created through repetition and can be changed through different repetition. Every time you choose an empowering thought over a limiting one, you're literally rewiring your brain. Every time you act with courage instead of fear, you're strengthening the neural networks that make courage more automatic. Every time you persist when you want to quit, you're building the brain structures that support perseverance. This process takes time and consistency, but the results are permanent. You're not just changing your mindset, you're changing the physical structure of your brain to support mental strength. The stress inoculation effect. Controlled exposure to challenging situations actually makes you more resilient, not less. This is called stress inoculation, deliberately putting yourself in slightly stressful situations so you're better prepared for major challenges. Seek out appropriate challenges that stretch your capabilities without overwhelming them. Volunteer for the difficult project. Enter the competition. Have the challenging conversation. Each successfully navigated challenge increases your confidence and capability for future challenges. The goal isn't to avoid stress but to become anti-fragile, someone who actually grows stronger through appropriate doses of challenge and adversity. Maintaining mental strength through setbacks. The inevitable nature of setbacks. Anyone who tells you that mental strength will eliminate setbacks from your life is lying. Mental strength doesn't prevent challenges, it changes how you respond to them. Setbacks are not evidence that your mental training has failed, they're opportunities to demonstrate how effective it has been. Expect setbacks. Plan for them. When they come, not if, but when, you'll be ready with the mental tools to turn them into comebacks. The comeback protocol. Develop a specific protocol for dealing with setbacks that you can implement immediately when things go wrong. First, acknowledge the setback without minimizing or dramatizing it. What happened, happened. Denial won't change it, and catastrophizing won't help you move forward. Second, extract the lesson. What can you learn from this experience? How can it make you stronger, smarter, or more prepared for the future? Every setback contains valuable information if you're willing to look for it. Third, reconnect with your mission. Why does your goal matter? What's at stake if you give up now? Use your larger purpose to fuel your comeback. Fourth, take the next right action. Not the perfect action, not the action that fixes everything immediately, but the next small step that moves you forward. Momentum is built one step at a time. Building anti-fragile mental strength. The highest level of mental strength is not just resilience, bouncing back to where you were before. It's anti-fragility, becoming stronger because of the challenge. This means developing the ability to extract growth from every experience, especially the difficult ones. Start viewing setbacks as training opportunities. Each one is testing your mental strength and showing you where you can become even stronger. Each one is preparing you for bigger challenges and bigger victories. This perspective transforms your relationship with adversity. Instead of something to avoid, it becomes something to engage with consciously and purposefully. Conclusion: winning the war within. The war inside your mind never truly ends, but it can be decisively won. Victory doesn't mean the absence of negative thoughts or challenging emotions. It means you've developed the strength and skill to direct your mental focus regardless of what's happening in your head. This is the ultimate freedom, the ability to choose your thoughts, direct your emotions, and maintain your strength even when everything around you is falling apart. This is what separates those who achieve extraordinary things from those who remain trapped in ordinary lives. Your thoughts are not your identity, they're your tools. Your emotions are not your destiny, they're your information. Your past is not your prison, it's your preparation. Every day, every moment, every choice is an opportunity to build the unshakable mental strength that will serve you for the rest of your life. The person you're becoming through this internal battle is worth every moment of struggle, every instant of doubt overcome, every fear faced with courage. You're not just building mental strength, you're building the person capable of achieving anything they set their mind to. The war inside is the only war that truly matters, because winning it gives you the power to win every other battle life will bring your way. Your mind is your greatest weapon, make sure you're the one wielding it. Rise up. Show up. Never give up. The war inside is yours to win. Chapter 2: The Discipline Code. Mental strength without discipline is wasted power. Think of discipline as the bridge between your intentions and your reality. You can have the strongest mind in the world, filled with brilliant ideas and unwavering determination, but without the systematic approach that discipline provides, that mental fortitude becomes nothing more than untapped potential. Discipline is what transforms your thoughts into actions, your goals into achievements, and your dreams into lived experiences. The truth about discipline is that it's not about perfection, it's about consistency. Most people misunderstand this fundamental principle. They believe discipline means never failing, never stumbling, never having moments of weakness. This misconception keeps them trapped in a cycle of all or nothing thinking that ultimately leads to complete abandonment of their goals. Real discipline acknowledges that failure is part of the process, but it demands that you show up regardless of how you feel, regardless of the circumstances, regardless of whether you want to or not. Building unbreakable habits begins with understanding the psychology of routine formation. Your brain is constantly seeking efficiency, looking for ways to automate behaviors so it can conserve energy for more complex decisions. This is why habits become so powerful. They require minimal conscious effort once established. The key is to work with your brain's natural tendencies rather than against them. Start by identifying the specific behaviors that will move you closer to your goals, then break them down into the smallest possible components. The concept of micro-habits revolutionizes how we approach personal development. Instead of trying to overhaul your entire life overnight, focus on changes so small they seem almost insignificant. Want to build a reading habit? Start with 1 page per day. Want to become more physically fit? Begin with 10 push-ups each morning. Want to develop mental clarity? Commit to 2 minutes of meditation daily. These micro-habits are deceptively powerful because they bypass your brain's resistance to change while establishing the neural pathways that will support larger behaviors later. Destroying laziness requires understanding its root causes. Laziness is rarely about being inherently unmotivated or lacking ambition. More often, it's a symptom of overwhelm, unclear priorities, or fear of failure disguised as procrastination. When you feel lazy, ask yourself what you're avoiding and why. Are you putting off a task because it seems too difficult? Break it into smaller steps. Are you avoiding something because you're afraid of not doing it perfectly? Remind yourself that done is better than perfect. Are you procrastinating because you're not sure where to start? Create a simple action plan with clear next steps. The relationship between discipline and motivation is often misunderstood. Most people wait for motivation to strike before taking action, but this approach is fundamentally flawed. Motivation is an emotion, and emotions are inherently unreliable. They fluctuate based on countless factors: your mood, the weather, what you ate for breakfast, how much sleep you got. Discipline, on the other hand, is a skill that operates independently of how you feel. It's the ability to take action based on your commitments rather than your current emotional state. Real warriors understand that perfect conditions never exist. There will always be obstacles, distractions, and reasons to postpone important actions. The weather won't always be ideal, your energy levels won't always be optimal, and circumstances won't always align with your preferences. Developing discipline means learning to perform at your best regardless of external conditions. This doesn't mean ignoring your physical and emotional needs, but rather building the capacity to function effectively even when things aren't perfect. Creating unbreakable routines starts with designing systems that support your goals rather than relying on willpower alone. Willpower is a finite resource that gets depleted throughout the day, which is why relying solely on it sets you up for failure. Instead, structure your environment and schedule to make good choices easier and bad choices harder. If you want to eat healthier, fill your kitchen with nutritious foods and remove tempting junk food. If you want to exercise regularly, lay out your workout clothes the night before and choose a gym that's convenient to your daily route. The power of keeping your word to yourself cannot be overstated. Every time you make a commitment to yourself and follow through, you build self-trust and confidence. Conversely, every time you break a promise to yourself, you erode your self-belief and make it harder to trust your own commitments in the future. This is why it's crucial to start with small, achievable promises. Build a track record of success with minor commitments before attempting major life changes. Morning routines serve as the foundation for disciplined living because they set the tone for your entire day. How you spend the first hour after waking up significantly impacts your energy, focus, and decision-making capacity for the hours that follow. A well-designed morning routine should include elements that energize your body, focus your mind, and align you with your priorities. This might include physical exercise, meditation, journaling, reading, or simply taking time to plan your day with intention. The concept of keystone habits, habits that naturally trigger positive changes in other areas of your life, can accelerate your development of discipline. Exercise is often a keystone habit because it tends to improve sleep quality, increase energy levels, enhance mood, and boost self-confidence, all of which make it easier to maintain other positive behaviors. Similarly, maintaining a clean and organized living space often leads to clearer thinking, reduced stress, and increased productivity in other areas. Accountability systems multiply the effectiveness of your discipline efforts. When you're accountable only to yourself, it's easy to rationalize exceptions and make excuses. External accountability, whether through a coach, mentor, workout partner, or even a simple progress tracking app, creates additional motivation to stay consistent. The key is choosing accountability measures that provide support rather than judgment, encouragement rather than criticism. The role of identity in maintaining discipline is profound. People tend to act in ways that are consistent with their self-image. If you see yourself as someone who lacks discipline, you'll unconsciously behave in ways that confirm this belief. However, if you begin to see yourself as a disciplined person, you'll naturally make choices that align with this identity. Start thinking of yourself as someone who keeps commitments, shows up consistently, and follows through on promises. Each disciplined action you take reinforces this identity and makes future disciplined actions more likely. Dealing with setbacks and maintaining discipline during difficult periods requires a specific mindset and set of strategies. Understand that setbacks are not failures, they're data points that provide information about what's working and what needs adjustment. When you experience a setback, avoid the temptation to abandon your efforts entirely. Instead, analyze what led to the setback, adjust your approach if necessary, and recommit to your routine as quickly as possible. The faster you can bounce back from disruptions, the stronger your discipline becomes. The compound effect of small, consistent actions cannot be ignored. Discipline isn't about making massive changes overnight, it's about making small, positive choices consistently over time. These choices compound, creating momentum that makes it progressively easier to maintain your standards. A person who reads for 15 minutes daily will consume significantly more books over a year than someone who occasionally spends entire weekends reading. A person who does 20 minutes of exercise daily will be in much better shape than someone who works out intensively once a week. Technology can either support or undermine your discipline efforts, depending on how you use it. Smartphones, social media, and constant connectivity create unprecedented levels of distraction and instant gratification. Building discipline in the modern world requires intentional management of these technologies. This might mean using apps that block distracting websites during work hours, keeping your phone out of the bedroom to improve sleep quality, or designating specific times for checking social media rather than scrolling mindlessly throughout the day. The importance of rest and recovery in maintaining long-term discipline is often overlooked. Discipline doesn't mean grinding relentlessly without regard for your physical and mental well-being. Sustainable discipline includes regular periods of rest, reflection, and rejuvenation. This might mean taking one day per week to relax and recharge, scheduling regular vacations, or simply ensuring you get adequate sleep each night. Paradoxically, these periods of rest actually strengthen your ability to maintain discipline during your active periods. Flexibility within structure is a hallmark of mature discipline. While consistency is crucial, rigid adherence to routines without any adaptability can lead to frustration and eventual abandonment of your goals. Build flexibility into your systems by having backup plans for when circumstances change. If you usually exercise in the morning but have an early meeting, have an alternative plan for working out later in the day. If you typically meal prep on Sundays but have weekend plans, prepare your meals on Saturday instead. The social dimension of discipline involves surrounding yourself with people who support and model the behaviors you want to develop. The people you spend time with significantly influence your habits, attitudes, and standards. Seek out relationships with individuals who demonstrate the kind of discipline you want to cultivate. This doesn't mean abandoning friends who don't share your goals, but rather being intentional about spending time with people who inspire and challenge you to maintain high standards. Measuring progress and celebrating small wins maintains motivation while building discipline. Keep track of your consistent actions rather than just focusing on outcomes. If your goal is to lose weight, celebrate the fact that you exercised every day this week, regardless of what the scale says. If you're building a writing habit, acknowledge that you wrote for your designated time period, regardless of whether you feel the quality was exceptional. These process-focused celebrations reinforce the behaviors that lead to long-term success. The relationship between discipline and freedom is paradoxical but profound. Many people view discipline as restrictive, but the opposite is true. Discipline creates freedom by eliminating the mental energy wasted on indecision and the stress caused by unmet commitments. When you have strong routines and stick to your word, you free up mental space for creativity, spontaneity, and meaningful pursuits. The disciplined person doesn't have to debate whether to exercise today, it's simply what they do. This automatic decision-making creates space for more important choices. Understanding your personal energy patterns optimizes your disciplined efforts. Everyone has natural rhythms of energy and focus throughout the day. Some people are most alert and productive in the early morning, while others peak in the afternoon or evening. Design your routines and schedule your most important tasks during your natural high-energy periods. Save less demanding activities for times when your energy naturally dips. Working with your biology rather than against it makes discipline significantly easier to maintain. The practice of delayed gratification is central to developing discipline. In a world of instant everything, instant messaging, instant entertainment, instant shopping, the ability to wait for better outcomes becomes increasingly valuable. Practice delaying gratification in small ways throughout your day. Wait an extra minute before checking your phone, choose the stairs instead of the elevator, prepare a healthy meal instead of ordering takeout. These small exercises in self-control strengthen your discipline muscle and prepare you for larger challenges. Finally, remember that discipline is not a destination but a continuous practice. There is no point at which you become permanently disciplined and never have to work at it again. Like physical fitness, discipline requires ongoing maintenance and attention. The good news is that the more you practice discipline, the more natural it becomes. What initially requires significant effort and conscious thought eventually becomes automatic. The key is to start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. Every small step forward builds the foundation for the disciplined life you're creating. Chapter 3: Unbreakable Under Pressure. The moment everything falls apart is the moment you discover who you really are. Pressure doesn't create character, it reveals it. When the world around you crumbles, when deadlines loom like storm clouds, when everyone else is running for cover, that's when your true strength emerges. This isn't about surviving pressure, it's about transforming it into your greatest advantage. Most people view pressure as the enemy, something to be avoided or endured. They see stress as a burden, chaos as a threat, and uncertainty as a weakness. But what if everything you've been taught about pressure is wrong? What if the very thing you've been running from is actually the key to unlocking your most powerful self? The truth is, pressure is not your opponent, it's your training partner, your teacher, and ultimately, your greatest ally in building unshakable mental strength. Think about diamonds. They aren't formed in comfort zones or peaceful environments. They're created deep within the earth under immense pressure and heat, transformed from ordinary carbon into something extraordinary and unbreakable. The same principle applies to human resilience. Your strongest moments don't emerge from easy times, they're forged in the crucible of challenge, shaped by the very forces that others allow to break them. The psychology of pressure reveals fascinating truths about human potential. When we face intense situations, our brains undergo remarkable changes. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for rational thinking, can either shut down in panic or become hyper-aware and focused. The difference lies not in the pressure itself, but in how we've trained ourselves to respond to it. Those who thrive under pressure have learned to see it not as a threat to their well-being, but as information about their environment that requires strategic response. Consider the fighter pilot navigating through enemy territory at supersonic speed. Every decision matters. Every second counts. There's no room for hesitation, no time for doubt. Yet the best pilots don't describe feeling overwhelmed, they describe feeling intensely alive, completely present, operating at their peak capacity. They've learned to channel pressure into precision, stress into strength, chaos into clarity. This isn't a natural gift, it's a developed skill that anyone can master. The first key to becoming unbreakable under pressure is understanding the difference between pressure and stress. Pressure is external, the deadline, the challenge, the situation demanding your attention. Stress is internal, your emotional and physiological response to that pressure. You cannot always control the pressure in your life, but you have complete authority over your stress response. This distinction is everything. When you realize that stress is not something that happens to you but something you create through your interpretation of events, you reclaim your power. Your mind has two fundamental modes when facing pressure: reactive and responsive. Reactive mode is driven by emotion, fear, and instinct. It's the part of your brain that wants to fight, flee, or freeze. Responsive mode is driven by clarity, strategy, and purpose. It's the part that analyzes, adapts, and acts with intention. The difference between those who break under pressure and those who become stronger is simple. The strong have learned to shift from reactive to responsive mode faster and more consistently. This shift begins with breath. Not the shallow, anxious breathing that accompanies panic, but deep, intentional breathing that signals to your nervous system that you are in control. When pressure mounts, your first response should not be to think your way out, it should be to breathe your way through. 4 counts in, hold for 4, 4 counts out, hold for 4. This simple pattern activates your parasympathetic nervous system, shifting your brain from survival mode to strategic mode. It's not just about staying calm, it's about maintaining access to your full mental capacity when you need it most. The second key is reframing pressure as opportunity. Every high-pressure situation is asking you a question: Who are you when everything is on the line? Your answer to this question, demonstrated through your actions, defines your character and shapes your future. The person who sees pressure as a threat will always be limited by their fear. The person who sees pressure as a chance to prove themselves will consistently exceed their own expectations. Elite athletes understand this principle intuitively. They don't avoid pressure, they seek it out. They practice with weights heavier than they'll use in competition, train in conditions worse than they'll face in games, and visualize scenarios more challenging than reality is likely to present. When game day arrives, the pressure feels familiar, manageable, even comfortable. They've already been there in their minds and bodies dozens of times. This is how you build pressure immunity, not by avoiding stress, but by gradually exposing yourself to increasingly difficult situations until what once overwhelmed you becomes your new baseline. Mental rehearsal is one of your most powerful tools for building pressure resistance. Your brain cannot distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. When you mentally practice handling pressure, you're literally rewiring your neural pathways, creating new connections that will serve you when real pressure arrives. Spend time each day visualizing yourself in high-pressure situations, seeing yourself respond with calm confidence, making clear decisions, and achieving successful outcomes. This isn't positive thinking, it's performance preparation. The third key is developing what psychologists call cognitive flexibility, the ability to shift your thinking when circumstances change. Rigid thinking creates brittleness, flexible thinking creates resilience. When your plan fails, can you adapt? When your assumptions prove wrong, can you adjust? When the rules change mid-game, can you change with them? The pressure-proof mind is not one that has all the answers, but one that can find new answers quickly when the old ones no longer work. This flexibility requires letting go of perfectionism. Perfectionism is not high standards, it's the fear of making mistakes. Under pressure, perfectionists often freeze because they cannot act without certainty, and pressure rarely provides certainty. The strong mentality embraces what military strategists call 70% solutions, making good decisions with incomplete information rather than perfect decisions too late to matter. Progress beats perfection every time, especially when time is running out. Leadership under pressure reveals another crucial dimension of mental strength. When you're calm in the storm, others naturally look to you for guidance. This isn't about being the loudest voice or the most forceful personality, it's about being the steadiest presence. Your energy affects everyone around you. If you panic, you give others permission to panic. If you stay focused, you create an island of stability in the chaos. This responsibility to others can actually make you stronger, giving you purpose beyond your own survival. The concept of pressure as fuel rather than burden transforms everything. Consider how jet engines work. They compress air under enormous pressure, then ignite it to create thrust. The pressure doesn't slow the plane down, it's literally what makes it fly. Your challenges can work the same way. Every difficult situation contains energy that can be harnessed for forward motion. The question is not whether you'll face pressure, but whether you'll learn to use it as propulsion. Building pressure resistance also requires understanding your recovery patterns. Elite performers know that handling pressure well doesn't mean being on all the time, it means being able to toggle between high-intensity focus and restorative rest. You cannot maintain peak performance indefinitely, but you can learn to sustain it for longer periods and recover more quickly. This means paying attention to your energy cycles, planning for necessary downtime, and treating recovery not as weakness but as preparation for the next challenge. The role of preparation cannot be overstated. Pressure often feels overwhelming because it catches us unprepared. The person who has done their homework, practiced their skills, and prepared for contingencies will always perform better under pressure than the person relying on talent alone. This preparation goes beyond technical skills. It includes emotional preparation, mental rehearsal, and strategic planning. When pressure arrives, you want to be so prepared that your response becomes automatic. Physical conditioning plays a crucial role in mental pressure resistance. Your mind and body are not separate systems, they're interconnected parts of one performance machine. When your body is strong and healthy, your mind has more resources to handle stress. Regular exercise, proper nutrition, and adequate sleep aren't just good for your health, they're essential components of mental toughness. A tired body creates a tired mind, and a tired mind makes poor decisions under pressure. The practice of deliberate discomfort builds remarkable pressure tolerance. This means voluntarily putting yourself in challenging situations to expand your comfort zone. Take cold showers, exercise when you don't feel like it, have difficult conversations you've been avoiding, or tackle projects that intimidate you. Each time you push through discomfort by choice, you're building the neural pathways that will serve you when discomfort is not optional. You're teaching yourself that you can handle more than you think. Perspective is perhaps your most powerful tool for managing pressure. What feels overwhelming in the moment often looks quite different when viewed from a broader perspective. The deadline that seems impossible today will be history next week. The challenge that feels insurmountable now will become a story of triumph later. This isn't about minimizing real difficulties, it's about maintaining perspective that prevents temporary pressures from creating permanent damage to your confidence and well-being. The concept of pressure privilege reframes challenging situations entirely. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" start asking, "Why is this happening for me?" Every high-pressure situation is an opportunity to develop capabilities you didn't know you had, to discover strength you didn't know existed, to become someone you couldn't have become without the challenge. The pressure in your life isn't random, it's precisely calibrated to help you grow into who you need to become. Understanding the physiology of pressure helps you work with your body rather than against it. When pressure hits, your heart rate increases, your muscles tense, your breathing quickens. These aren't signs of weakness, they're signs that your body is preparing for peak performance. The key is channeling this physical arousal productively rather than letting it spiral into anxiety. Learn to interpret these physical sensations as readiness rather than fear, preparation rather than panic. The practice of pressure inoculation involves gradually exposing yourself to increasing levels of stress in controlled environments. Like building physical immunity through exposure to small amounts of pathogens, you can build mental immunity through controlled exposure to manageable amounts of pressure. Start small, volunteer for presentations, take on challenging projects, put yourself in situations where performance matters. Each successful navigation of pressure builds confidence for the next level. Decision-making under pressure requires special skills. When time is short and stakes are high, your normal decision-making process may be too slow. This is where having clear values and priorities becomes essential. When you know what matters most, decisions become clearer even under pressure. You don't have to analyze every option, you can quickly eliminate anything that doesn't align with your core principles and focus on the viable alternatives. The power of focus cannot be underestimated when dealing with pressure. Pressure often feels overwhelming because we try to handle everything at once. The pressure-proof mind learns to narrow focus to what's immediately important, handling one critical element at a time rather than becoming paralyzed by the magnitude of the entire situation. This isn't about ignoring other issues, it's about sequencing your attention strategically. Recovery from pressure situations is as important as performance during them. After navigating a high-pressure situation, take time to process what happened. What worked well? What could be improved? What did you learn about yourself? This reflection turns every pressure situation into a learning opportunity, building your capabilities for future challenges. Without this reflection, you miss the growth opportunity that pressure provides. The relationship between pressure and creativity reveals another dimension of mental strength. While pressure can sometimes inhibit creative thinking, it can also focus creativity in powerful ways. When resources are limited and time is short, you're forced to find innovative solutions. Some of the most brilliant innovations have emerged from high-pressure situations where conventional approaches weren't sufficient. Learn to see pressure not as creativity's enemy, but as its catalyst. Building support systems before pressure arrives is crucial for long-term resilience. No one handles pressure alone, and trying to do so is both unnecessary and unwise. Cultivate relationships with people who remain steady under pressure, who can provide different perspectives, and who believe in your ability to handle challenges. These relationships aren't just personal support, they're strategic resources that expand your capabilities when individual resources aren't enough. The practice of pressure rehearsal involves not just visualizing success, but also rehearsing potential failures and your responses to them. What will you do if your first plan doesn't work? How will you respond if unexpected obstacles arise? By mentally rehearsing these scenarios, you reduce their power to surprise and overwhelm you. You've already considered them and prepared responses, turning potential crises into manageable challenges. Understanding that pressure is temporary but growth is permanent changes how you approach difficult situations. Every pressure situation will end, but the strength you build by navigating it well will stay with you forever. This perspective helps you endure temporary discomfort for permanent gain, making you willing to face challenges that others avoid because you know the long-term benefit exceeds the short-term cost. The concept of pressure mastery goes beyond just handling pressure. It's about leveraging pressure to achieve results you couldn't achieve in low-pressure situations. Some people perform better under pressure because it eliminates distractions, focuses attention, and activates their peak performance systems. Learn to recognize whether you're someone who performs better under pressure, and if so, learn to create appropriate pressure for yourself when stakes are naturally low. Mental strength under pressure also requires accepting that not every outcome will be perfect. Sometimes your best effort under pressure will still result in less than ideal outcomes. This doesn't diminish your worth or your capabilities, it reflects the reality that pressure situations often involve factors beyond your control. Your responsibility is to bring your best effort and clearest thinking to the situation, not to guarantee perfect results. The integration of pressure experiences into your identity is what transforms temporary challenges into permanent strength. Each time you successfully navigate pressure, you're not just solving a problem, you're proving to yourself that you're the kind of person who can handle difficult situations. This proof becomes part of your self-concept, giving you confidence to face future challenges. You're not just getting through pressure, you're becoming someone who thrives under pressure. As you develop your ability to remain unbreakable under pressure, remember that this strength serves purposes beyond your own success. A world full of pressure needs people who can think clearly when others panic, who can lead when others are lost, who can find solutions when others see only problems. Your pressure resistance isn't just a personal asset, it's a gift you give to everyone whose life you touch. The journey to becoming unbreakable under pressure is not about eliminating all stress from your life, it's about transforming your relationship with stress so completely that pressure becomes your ally rather than your enemy. It's about developing such confidence in your ability to handle whatever comes that you can face uncertainty with curiosity rather than fear, challenges with excitement rather than dread, and setbacks with determination rather than despair. Every pressure situation is asking you the same fundamental question: what are you made of? Your answer, demonstrated through your actions and choices, shapes not only your immediate results but your future character. Choose to see pressure as the forge in which your strongest self is created. Choose to meet challenges with the quiet confidence of someone who knows they've been preparing for this moment their entire life. Choose to be unbreakable not because you're immune to pressure, but because you've learned to use pressure as the very force that makes you stronger. Remember, pressure doesn't break you, it builds you. Every challenge is a chance to prove this truth to yourself once again. Chapter 4: The Mind of a Winner. The arena of life is unforgiving. It doesn't care about your background, your excuses, or your good intentions. It only responds to one thing: the relentless pursuit of excellence driven by an unbreakable mentality. Winners understand this fundamental truth, and they shape their minds accordingly. They don't just think differently, they think like champions, and that makes all the difference. The foundation of championship thinking. Winners operate from a fundamentally different mental framework than the average person. Where others see obstacles, winners see opportunities for growth. Where others make excuses, winners make adjustments. This isn't about positive thinking or empty motivation, it's about rewiring your brain to process reality through the lens of possibility rather than limitation. The mind of a winner is built on three core pillars: radical ownership, solution-focused thinking, and relentless adaptation. Radical ownership means taking complete responsibility for your outcomes, regardless of circumstances. Winners don't waste mental energy on what they can't control. Instead, they pour all their focus into what they can influence: their effort, their attitude, and their approach. This ownership extends beyond just taking blame when things go wrong. It means taking credit for creating the conditions for success in the first place. When you own everything in your sphere of influence, you become the architect of your destiny rather than its victim. Solution-focused thinking is the second pillar that separates winners from everyone else. While most people get trapped in problem identification, winners immediately shift to solution generation. They train their minds to ask better questions. Instead of "why is this happening to me?" they ask "how can I turn this situation to my advantage?" Instead of "what if I fail?" they ask "what would success look like, and how do I create it?" This mental shift transforms challenges from roadblocks into stepping stones. The third pillar, relentless adaptation, acknowledges that the path to victory is never linear. Winners understand that flexibility is strength, not weakness. They develop an anti-fragile mentality. They don't just survive setbacks, they use them as fuel for comebacks. This means constantly updating their strategies based on new information, staying humble enough to learn from failures, and maintaining the confidence to keep pushing forward even when the original plan falls apart. The no complaint zone. Complaining is the quickest way to drain your mental battery and signal to the universe that you're not ready for bigger challenges. Winners eliminate complaint from their vocabulary because they understand a fundamental truth: complaining is just announcing your powerlessness to the world. It's a confession that you believe external circumstances have more control over your life than you do. This is not just about staying positive, it's about maintaining a mindset that keeps you in control of your mental state and energy. When faced with adversity, winners have trained themselves to follow a specific mental sequence. First, they acknowledge the reality of the situation without emotional attachment. They don't pretend problems don't exist, but they also don't amplify them through complaint. Second, they immediately shift to resource identification. What tools, skills, or support do they have available to address this challenge? Third, they focus on the next right action, no matter how small. This sequence short-circuits the complaint cycle and keeps their mind focused on progress rather than problems. The elimination of complaint also serves a deeper purpose. It preserves mental energy for what matters. Every minute spent complaining is a minute not spent on solution building, skill development, or opportunity creation. Winners treat their mental energy like a precious resource and refuse to waste it on unproductive thinking patterns. They understand that their thoughts shape their reality, and they choose thoughts that serve their ultimate vision rather than their immediate frustrations. This doesn't mean winners ignore negative emotions or pretend everything is perfect. Instead, they process emotions quickly and efficiently, extract any useful information they contain, and then redirect their focus toward constructive action. They've learned to feel their feelings without being controlled by them, to acknowledge setbacks without being defined by them, and to face reality without being discouraged by it. The art of strategic adjustment. While others get paralyzed by change, winners thrive on adaptation. They understand that the ability to adjust quickly and effectively is perhaps the most valuable skill in an unpredictable world. Strategic adjustment isn't about abandoning your goals when things get tough, it's about finding new paths to the same destination when your original route becomes blocked. Winners develop this skill through consistent practice and by maintaining a growth mindset that views every setback as valuable feedback. The process of strategic adjustment begins with honest assessment. Winners regularly evaluate their progress, strategies, and results without ego or emotional attachment. They ask themselves hard questions. What's working? What isn't? What assumptions need to be challenged? What new information has emerged that might change their approach? This regular audit prevents them from getting too attached to strategies that are no longer serving their goals. Once they've identified what needs to change, winners move quickly to implementation. They don't spend weeks analyzing or seeking permission. They test new approaches immediately and adjust based on results. This bias toward action comes from understanding that perfect information never exists and that the best way to find the right solution is often through rapid experimentation. They'd rather be wrong quickly and correct course than be right slowly and miss opportunities. Strategic adjustment also requires emotional intelligence and the ability to separate ego from outcome. Winners can abandon strategies they've invested time and energy in if those strategies aren't producing results. They don't take strategic pivots personally or view them as admissions of failure. Instead, they see adaptation as evidence of intelligence and commitment to their ultimate vision. This flexibility allows them to navigate complex challenges while staying true to their core objectives. The attack mentality. Winners don't wait for opportunities to find them, they create opportunities through aggressive action. The attack mentality is about taking initiative, being proactive, and maintaining offensive rather than defensive thinking. This doesn't mean being reckless or inconsiderate of others, it means approaching challenges with the confidence and energy of someone who expects to win. Winners understand that passive approaches rarely produce extraordinary results, and they're willing to take calculated risks to create the outcomes they want. The attack mentality manifests in daily habits and decision-making patterns. Winners wake up each day looking for ways to advance their goals rather than just responding to whatever comes their way. They seek out challenges that will accelerate their growth rather than waiting for comfortable opportunities. They initiate conversations, propose solutions, and volunteer for difficult assignments because they know that the biggest rewards go to those who are willing to tackle the biggest challenges. This aggressive approach extends to how winners handle setbacks and failures. Instead of retreating when things go wrong, they attack the problem with increased intensity. They understand that setbacks often reveal weaknesses that need to be strengthened and that the pain of temporary failure is nothing compared to the regret of giving up too early. They use failure as fuel for their next attempt rather than evidence that they should quit. The attack mentality also involves strategic aggression in pursuing goals. Winners don't just set targets, they pursue them with relentless focus and energy. They understand that mediocre effort produces mediocre results, regardless of how good their strategy might be. They're willing to outwork their competition, to do what others won't do, and to maintain high intensity even when motivation wanes. This sustained aggression separates them from those who start strong but fade when the initial excitement wears off. Visualization and mental rehearsal. Champions don't just physically practice their craft, they mentally rehearse success until it becomes inevitable. Visualization isn't wishful thinking or daydreaming, it's a systematic mental training process that prepares the mind and body for peak performance. Winners use visualization to program their subconscious mind with success patterns, to build confidence through mental repetition, and to prepare for various scenarios they might encounter on their path to victory. Effective visualization goes far beyond just imagining positive outcomes. Winners create detailed mental movies that include all the sensory experiences of success, what victory looks like, sounds like, feels like, even smells and tastes like. They visualize not just the end result but the entire process, the preparation, the challenges, the moments of doubt, and how they'll push through them. This comprehensive mental rehearsal creates neural pathways that make actual performance feel familiar and automatic. Winners also use visualization to prepare for adversity. They mentally rehearse how they'll respond when things go wrong, when they face unexpected challenges, or when they encounter their biggest fears. This mental preparation builds resilience and prevents them from being caught off guard by difficulties. They've already experienced and overcome these challenges in their minds, so when they encounter them in reality, they respond with confidence rather than panic. The practice of visualization is most effective when combined with strong emotional engagement. Winners don't just see their success, they feel the emotions of victory, the satisfaction of achievement, and the pride of overcoming obstacles. These emotional associations create powerful motivation and help maintain focus during difficult periods. The mind can't distinguish between vividly imagined experiences and real ones, so winners use this psychological principle to build unshakable confidence in their eventual success. Staying hungry in silence. True champions understand that the most dangerous enemy of success is success itself. Complacency kills more dreams than failure ever will. Winners develop the ability to stay hungry even after achieving significant victories, and they do this work in silence, away from the distractions of external validation or criticism. This internal drive is what separates those who achieve one-time success from those who build lasting legacies of excellence. Staying hungry in silence means finding motivation from internal standards rather than external recognition. Winners set their own benchmarks for excellence and hold themselves accountable to these standards whether anyone is watching or not. They understand that external validation is fleeting and unreliable, but internal drive is sustainable and always available. They compete primarily against their own potential rather than against others, which creates a renewable source of motivation that doesn't depend on external circumstances. This silent hunger also involves continuous learning and improvement, even when others might think you've already mastered your field. Winners remain students throughout their careers, constantly seeking new knowledge, skills, and perspectives that can give them an edge. They read voraciously, seek out mentors, and study the strategies of other successful people across different industries. This commitment to growth ensures that they continue evolving rather than stagnating at their current level of success. The practice of staying hungry in silence also builds character and integrity. When no one is watching, winners still give their best effort. When no one would know if they cut corners, they maintain their standards. This consistency between public and private behavior builds unshakable self-confidence and creates the kind of character that can handle the pressures of high-level success without cracking under the strain. Mental toughness under pressure. The arena where champions are forged isn't the practice facility, it's the high-pressure moments when everything is on the line. Mental toughness isn't about being emotionless or unaffected by pressure, it's about performing at your best when the stakes are highest and the margin for error is smallest. Winners develop this capability through deliberate practice and by consistently putting themselves in challenging situations that build their pressure tolerance. Mental toughness begins with proper preparation. Winners know that confidence under pressure comes from thorough preparation and the deep knowledge that they've done everything possible to get ready. This preparation isn't just technical, it's mental, emotional, and spiritual. They've anticipated the challenges they'll face, rehearsed their responses, and built the skills necessary to execute under pressure. This comprehensive preparation creates a foundation of confidence that remains solid even when everything else feels uncertain. The ability to stay calm under pressure also comes from developing a long-term perspective. Winners don't let the outcome of any single moment define their entire journey. They understand that even the most important competitions, presentations, or opportunities are just single data points in a much larger story. This perspective prevents them from becoming overwhelmed by the magnitude of any particular moment and allows them to maintain clarity when others become paralyzed by pressure. Mental toughness also involves the ability to control your internal state regardless of external circumstances. Winners develop techniques for managing their breathing, heart rate, and thought patterns during high-stress situations. They practice maintaining focus on what they can control rather than getting distracted by variables outside their influence. This internal control allows them to access their skills and abilities even when the environment is chaotic or unpredictable. The success ritual system. Winners don't leave their performance to chance, they create systematic approaches that stack the odds in their favor. Success rituals are the daily, weekly, and monthly practices that create the conditions for peak performance. These aren't superstitious habits but evidence-based practices that optimize physical, mental, and emotional states for maximum effectiveness. Winners understand that extraordinary results come from the compound effect of ordinary practices executed with extraordinary consistency. Morning rituals are particularly powerful because they set the tone for the entire day. Winners typically start their days with practices that energize their bodies, focus their minds, and align their actions with their priorities. This might include physical exercise, meditation, journaling, or reviewing their goals and priorities. The specific activities matter less than the consistency and intentionality behind them. These morning practices create momentum that carries forward throughout the day and helps maintain high performance even when unexpected challenges arise. Evening rituals are equally important for processing the day's experiences and preparing for future success. Winners use this time to reflect on what they learned, what they accomplished, and what they want to improve tomorrow. They might review their goals, express gratitude, or visualize the next day's success. This evening practice helps consolidate learning, maintain motivation, and ensure that each day builds upon the previous one rather than just repeating the same patterns. The the most powerful success rituals are those that become so automatic they require no willpower to maintain. Winners invest the initial effort to establish these practices until they become as natural as brushing their teeth. This automation frees up mental energy for higher-level thinking and decision-making while ensuring that the fundamental practices that support success continue regardless of mood, motivation, or circumstances. Building unshakable confidence. Confidence isn't something winners are born with, it's something they systematically build through evidence and experience. True confidence comes from a deep knowledge of your capabilities combined with the humility to continue growing. Winners don't confuse confidence with arrogance. They understand that real confidence is quiet, consistent, and based on competence rather than just positive thinking or external validation. The foundation of unshakable confidence is competence. Winners build confidence by steadily developing their skills and proving to themselves that they can handle increasingly difficult challenges. They seek out opportunities to test themselves, not because they're confident they'll succeed, but because they know that each challenge, whether they win or lose, adds to their bank of experience and evidence. Over time, this accumulated evidence creates genuine confidence that can't be easily shaken by criticism or setbacks. Winners also build confidence by keeping detailed records of their progress and achievements. They maintain journals, track metrics, and regularly review how far they've come. This practice serves two purposes. It provides objective evidence of growth during moments of doubt, and it helps them recognize patterns in their performance that can be replicated or improved. This data-driven approach to confidence building makes it much more stable and reliable than confidence based purely on feelings or external feedback. Unshakable confidence also requires the ability to separate your identity from your performance. Winners develop a strong sense of self-worth that isn't entirely dependent on their latest results. They understand that they are not their successes or their failures, they are people who happen to succeed or fail at specific tasks. This separation allows them to take risks, learn from failures, and bounce back from setbacks without fundamental damage to their self-concept. The winner's daily operating system. Champions don't just think differently, they operate differently. They have systematic approaches to managing their time, energy, and attention that maximize their effectiveness and maintain their momentum toward their goals. This daily operating system isn't rigid or inflexible, it's a framework that provides structure while allowing for adaptation based on changing circumstances and priorities. Energy management is often more important than time management for winners. They understand that not all hours are created equal and that their effectiveness depends more on their energy levels than on how many hours they work. Winners learn to identify their peak energy periods and schedule their most important work during these times. They also develop practices for maintaining and recovering energy throughout the day, understanding that sustainable high performance requires both intense effort and strategic recovery. Winners are also masters of attention management. In a world full of distractions, the ability to maintain focus on what truly matters is becoming increasingly rare and valuable. Winners develop systems for protecting their attention from unnecessary interruptions and for quickly refocusing when they do get distracted. They understand that attention is their most valuable resource and they guard it jealously. The winner's operating system also includes regular review and adjustment periods. They don't just execute their plans blindly, they regularly assess what's working, what isn't, and what needs to change. This might happen daily through brief reflection sessions, weekly through more comprehensive reviews, or monthly through deeper strategic assessments. This regular calibration ensures that their efforts remain aligned with their goals and that they continue moving in the right direction even as circumstances change. Handling critics and doubters. The path to greatness inevitably attracts criticism, doubt, and negativity from others. Winners understand that criticism is often a sign that they're doing something significant. People don't waste energy criticizing those who play it safe or pursue mediocre goals. Learning to handle critics and doubters effectively is essential for maintaining focus and momentum on the journey to success. Winners develop the ability to extract valuable feedback from criticism while ignoring the emotional noise that often accompanies it. They understand that even harsh critics sometimes provide useful information that can help them improve, but they don't allow the delivery method to distract from potentially valuable content. They've learned to separate the message from the messenger and to evaluate feedback based on its merit rather than its source. The most effective way to handle critics is through performance rather than argument. Winners let their results speak for themselves rather than getting drawn into debates about their methods or goals. They understand that the best response to doubt is demonstration, and that proving critics wrong through achievement is far more satisfying and effective than trying to convince them through words alone. Winners also develop the ability to use criticism as fuel for their success. They transform doubt into determination and use negativity as motivation to work even harder. This doesn't mean they become defensive or vindictive. Instead, they channel the energy of criticism into productive action that moves them closer to their goals. They understand that the opinions of others only have the power they choose to give them. The fearless mentality. Fear is the great equalizer. Everyone experiences it, but winners have learned to dance with fear rather than being paralyzed by it. The fearless mentality isn't about the absence of fear, it's about the ability to act in spite of fear and to use fear as information rather than instruction. Winners understand that fear often points toward what they most need to do, and that the things they're most afraid of are often the things that will create the biggest breakthroughs in their lives. Building a fearless mentality starts with understanding the nature of fear itself. Most fears are about imagined future scenarios rather than present realities. Winners train themselves to distinguish between real, immediate dangers and phantom fears created by their imagination. They develop the ability to assess risks rationally rather than emotionally, and to make decisions based on data rather than anxiety. The fearless mentality also involves reframing fear as excitement. The physiological responses to fear and excitement are nearly identical: increased heart rate, heightened awareness, and surge of energy. Winners learn to interpret these sensations as signs that they're about to do something important rather than signs that they should retreat. This reframing transforms fear from a limiting factor into a source of energy and focus. Winners also build courage through progressive exposure to their fears. They don't try to eliminate fear all at once. Instead, they gradually expand their comfort zones by taking on increasingly challenging situations. This systematic approach to courage building creates genuine fearlessness based on experience rather than just positive thinking or false bravado. The compound effect of championship thinking. The true power of a winner's mentality isn't visible in any single decision or action. It's revealed through the compound effect of consistently thinking and acting like a champion over time. Small mental shifts, when applied consistently, create massive changes in results and life outcomes. Winners understand that they're not just competing for today's victory, they're building the mental foundation for a lifetime of success. Every time winners choose solution-focused thinking over problem-focused thinking, they strengthen neural pathways that make positive thinking more automatic. Every time they take responsibility instead of making excuses, they build character that serves them in future challenges. Every time they push through fear instead of giving into it, they expand their capacity for courage. These individual moments might seem insignificant, but their cumulative impact creates extraordinary transformation. The compound effect also applies to the way winners influence others. Their mentality becomes contagious, inspiring teammates, colleagues, and family members to raise their own standards and expectations. Winners create a culture of excellence around themselves that makes success more likely for everyone in their sphere of influence. This multiplier effect means that developing a winner's mentality doesn't just change your own life, it has the potential to positively impact countless others. Understanding the compound nature of championship thinking also helps winners maintain consistency during difficult periods. When results aren't immediately visible or when progress seems slow, they trust in the process and continue applying their mental frameworks with discipline and faith. They know that breakthrough moments are often preceded by periods of apparent stagnation, and that the mental work they're doing today will pay dividends for years to come. The mind of a winner isn't a destination, it's a way of traveling through life. It's a commitment to approaching every challenge, opportunity, and setback with the mentality of someone who expects to find a way to win. This mentality doesn't guarantee that you'll never fail or face difficulties, but it ensures that you'll extract the maximum value from every experience and that you'll continue growing stronger regardless of circumstances. Winners understand that the quality of their thinking determines the quality of their lives. and they invest accordingly in developing and maintaining the mental frameworks that serve their highest aspirations. Your journey to developing an unshakable winner's mentality begins with a single decision, the decision to start thinking like someone who expects to win. From that moment forward, every choice becomes an opportunity to strengthen your mental muscles and move closer to the person you're capable of becoming. The arena of life is waiting, and armed with the mind of a winner, you're ready to claim your place among the champions. I hope this gave you something to think about today. Dr. Julian Vance has been with you all the way, and always remember, keep learning. Keep pushing forward. Who stops reading, stops growing.